Hi boys and girls, what I want to show you is how to remove a rust out of this 2006 Stratoliner tank. I started on it already. First I just put a little masking tape around the edge to protect the outside paint, as you can see. But we'll go into full detail as I get rolling here. What you want to use is just some distilled white vinegar. That'll actually get all of the rust out of your tank. And then from there I use a Dremel with a sanding wheel on it to remove everything on, which is actually the fill tube inside. I don't know how clear it'll show it. I started on it already. Vinegar's not necessary for this part. Just removing most of the heavy rust. This tank come out of a scrap yard, actually a junkyard, motorcycle salvage yard. So it didn't have a cap on it, was full of rust. Part of it inside is kind of clean, but down at the bottom there's a lot of heavy surface rust. Okay, there's step one. On the bottom side of the tank, I just used 220 sandpaper in my hand and got it all off of the, I'm assuming that is where the petcock is. But that was heavy rust, and got it all off with just the white vinegar and sandpaper. So it's ready for the petcock. Now you have to seal this so you can add the white vinegar. So what I did was took a thick piece of plastic, cut it out, and part of an inner tube as a gasket so it can be screwed on and sealed up so the vinegar don't come. Now this is your main fuel tube. I actually used rubber hose and a bolt, capped it off, and up here we have your reserve. Do the same thing, use rubber hose and a bolt and screw them in, and they're sealed so that the vinegar doesn't leak out that way. Up top you have, it looks like a vent, which is a breather on the front side of the tank. I'll probably just do the same thing here. Duct tape may even work, or I'll use some type of small screw, small hose. Okay, I got the inside fill tube done, cleaned out with the little Dremel and the sanding wheel. I'll always wipe it out with vinegar, just to see how it actually looks, to see if you got enough of it done, enough of the surface rust, heavy rust off of it. Okay, I didn't get the gas cap with this tank when I bought it, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to use this piece of inner tube and make a gasket for it. Pressing down, I can get an overlay of the actual tube. And it'll transfer a round spot on it, so you can actually figure out where to cut. You can barely see it due to the sun. Alright, what I have here is I've got the inner tube cut out. Always use the flat side down so it seals good. And I'm going to put a paint cap over top of it, and then some duct tape at 4 points so this way it crisscrosses and grabs to the tank tight before I put my white vinegar in. Also, what I have here is 2 different sizes of dog chain, or actually not dog chain, just different sizes of chain I bought from Home Depot. You can get it anywhere. I got 5 feet in length on each chain, and I'm going to put that into the tank. Now, I forgot to mention, I like using the chain because a lot of guys like using gravel, some type of pea gravel inside the tank. If you've got a filler tube that actually goes towards the bottom of the tank, you'll never get all the gravel out. It'll take you a long time to get the last piece out, or the last several pieces. So if you go with the chain, and you're shaking this tank up with the white vinegar in it, you can actually get the chain close to the fill tube on the bottom, reach down with needle nose pliers and pull. It comes right out. Okay, I've got the bottom all sealed up with that plate and 4 screws in the inner tube. Chain's in. All I gotta do is just put some vinegar in. Okay, the vinegar's in. I used a half a gallon because this tank already weighs 15 pounds by itself, empty. So I used half a gallon and cap. Reaching for the wrong stuff. Just center it up as best you can. You can use anything, guys. You can use any old gas cap you have laying around as long as it works and seals. Like I say, I just didn't get one with this tank, so I got to do something. I used a valve stem cover for this vent tube. And then I put pretty good tension with the duct tape on the tank, so this way, when I'm shaking upside down, nothing comes off. Double check it at all times. You're going to leave this in here for about 8 hours and shake it about every 30 minutes. And that's all you got to do. Okay, I've been shaking this tank for 8 hours. Making sure it gets to both sides on the bottom. There's my 8 hours of shaking, at least 16 times. Now I'm going to remove the tape and drain the tank. So when I drained it, I pulled the main paint cover cap off that I had duct taped on just so it could breathe. And then I went to its lowest point, which was the reserve tube. I don't know if you can see it, but I ended up pulling that off so it would all come out of there. Now what I want to show you is the next step. What we're going to do is I've taken a small box of baking soda and added it to 1 quart of water. We're going to neutralize the inside of this tank so that no rust grows on this thing again. You can see that it still has rust inside there, but that's what the vinegar ate off. As you can see how white. So the inside will do the same thing. Once we neutralize it, swish some water around with the baking soda, it's all going to come out. And then we're going to take one more step after that with some Marvel's mystery oil. Okay, I'm going to flush the tank with just straight water. Throw the hose in there and let it fill up. Completely drain. You would think this is crazy. You'd think it'd just add rust, and it will if you don't do it right. I left the bottom open for the reserve so it can drain out there. Took the cap off of the breather. Alright, I'll let that completely drain. Do it one more time. Okay, second time around. Overflow's good. It'll help flush. Okay, let me empty the contents and then we'll go from there. Okay, I removed both drain plugs and got good water, good clean water coming out of both the main fuel tube and the reserve. Okay, I'm going to go ahead and plug up the bottom fill tube, or the actual gas tubes themselves, main and the reserve. Plug those back up and get ready for the baking soda. I already pulled the chain out, but I also decided in this tank to use 65 9/16 nuts. So using this magnetic flashlight, you can see I can pull out 4, 5, 6 at a time. And make sure you pull all 65 out. I put them in groups of 5 so I know. Give me a quick, easy count. They're all piled up right at the bottom of the tank in one spot. I've got 5, 10, 15, 20, 25, 30, 35 out. Okay, I don't know how well you can see now because it got dark on me out here. So anyway, I'm stirring up the baking soda, 1/4 tap water. I try to keep it as powerful as possible. And it will neutralize the tank. It'll stop anything any rust that's trying to grow back in there. So let's add it. Now that I got my bottom all plugged up, okay, I'm just going to dry this off as best I can so I can get the cap back on it. Okay, I got my 2 plugs on the bottom capped now, and I've got it drained. All the baking soda and water is out of it, thoroughly out of it. So I got the 2 bottom plugs in. I'm going to go ahead and put some Marvel's Mystery Oil in. There's 2 ounces. I'm going to add about 6. Okay, I'm going to go ahead and finish filling this. I'm going to use most of the bottle. It's not going to hurt it. It's just a gas and oil treatment anyway. It's going to act as a lubricant. cap in place. I've got all the caps in place, the bolt, the petcock covered still, so the tank's completely enclosed again. Now I'm just going to shake it with that whole 16 ounces of marbles I put in. Okay, I'm going to let that sit overnight, and you'll see the results in the morning. Good morning, guys. At least it's another sunny morning here in Arizona. It's going to be a hot one. So I get up and show you this inside of this tank. Didn't turn out too bad. Let's see if we can get a light in there. So I don't know if you can see the bottom of it. It appears to be black, but it's not. It's the oil that I left in it. It ran down. It all ran down, but it etched it. Definitely etched it. Got all that rust out of there. Wish I could get you a better close-up, but I don't think this camera's going to work well for that. Not without the right light. So anyway, I'll leave that oil in there. That marble I'll leave in there until I'm ready to install this tank or sell it. It'll just keep it coated and ready for the next guy or myself. It's so hard to see, but it worked. So good luck with your projects.